Have you noticed a difference in your pupil or children's behaviour since the pandemic? If so, you're not alone. The A Lust for Life Schools programme is a primary school wellbeing programme which teaches kids from 3rd to 6th class the tools to manage their own minds at a very young age. Something I'm sure we all could have done with when we were in school. It's a free programme for schools to use, and it's A Lust for Life's mission to reach every child in Ireland with it. The programme is designed to equip children with the tools and skills to navigate the ups and downs of life by building emotional resilience, emotional literacy and emotional awareness. All you need is a screen, audio speakers and an internet connection. For more information on the A Lust for Life Schools programme, you can visit the A Lust for Life website or email the team directly at alflschools@alustforlife.com. If you would like to provide future generations in Ireland with the resources to be effective guardians of their own minds, then the A Lust for Life Schools programme is for you.
Jeeve Golair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind. Hello, Diagwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination, the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. And so we've reached the half century. On Slice 50 today, it's the turn of the gang at Singapore Lions GAA. I chat with Derek from Dublin, Paul from England and Kim from Brisbane to find out about the club that has appeared most often as the toughest team in the Asian GAA. I find out all about the goings on from being the Mayo of Asia to winning tournaments, the influx of physios and doctors to the region, including one Cormac Ó'Mhuircheartaigh, the jersey linked to an RTE show, stars in the club's time including Gary Hannify and his wife, the iconic Kim's super work with her amazing race, vodka, jellies and her party bus, which has featured guests such as Paul Mannion and Jack McCaffrey, the famous Sing-babwe GAA team, featuring Paul and Derek, the vet team, Michéal Ó'Mhuircheartaigh on commentary in Singapore, and not only do they know of Mrs Doyle from Father Ted, they have a member in the club who was an extra on the show. But first, as always, let's head across to Singapore and find out about the Garden City of Asia. Bon Soltas. Welcome to Singapore, or the Republic of Singapore as it's officially known. We are in fact only 1 degree away from the equator here, on the Malay Peninsula, with the Straits of Malacca one side and the South China Sea on the other. Singapore is one main island with 1 islet and 63 other islands. With this comes the incredible population density, second only in the world to Hong Kong. As those who've been there know, it's a very multicultural nation with interesting history, hence why English, Malay, Mandarin and Tamil are the 4 languages of the country. English is the main one, and some parts of the world might have heard of the term Singlish to describe the mix of dialect words often heard. Singapore as a name comes from Malay language, Sinapura, which is Sanskrit for lion city. Simhapura was the term where Simha means lion, much like how Simba in The Lion King is named. Of course, being where it is, the naming in many languages has variations from the island of Tin to the lake town to simply the place at the end of the peninsula. When the Japanese were in charge for a while, it was Sayonan, meaning light of the south. Today, it is still the Lion City, but also has names like the Garden City, given its incredible ability to show greenery in such a high-rise metropolis. As a standard in history, the British came along in the 19th century. I feel like in the 50th episode here that I've done so far, the British have come along more often than anybody. I now see how the empire was at one point 1/3 of the entire planet. It was the governor, Stamford Raffles, who picked the area for a new British trading port, a land at the time that was ruled by the Sultan of Johor and by the Dutch people. Money was exchanged and treaties signed in the 1820s, and the entire place became British. Funnily enough, actually, British India to be precise. World War I came and passed without much issue in the region, but during the war itself, there was individual events in Singapore. Imprisoned Muslim soldiers, or sepoys, as they were called, heard chats that they were going to be sent to fight the Ottoman Empire around Turkey, itself a Muslim region. Clearly this wasn't going to happen, but the British forgot to tell them that, and the prisoners rebelled and killed a rake of soldiers and British civilians in the area before eventually being stopped. After the war, Britain turned Singapore into the largest dock in the world. Churchill would later call it the Gibraltar of the East. World War II, some years later, was a different story, and the Japanese invasion of the region brought the Battle of Singapore. In fact, it was here that the surrender of over 60,000 British troops remains to be the worst and largest surrender of British forces in history, something which Churchill also called the largest capitulation in British history. It was the Battle of Singapore which changed world history in many ways. By the time the war ended in 1945, Singapore was free before British plans to take it back could happen. It wasn't a plain transfer of power. The area was already in chaos with revenge killings and violence everywhere, before one man, Lord Louis Mountbatten, arrived to retrieve the land for the British. Mountbatten, as many of you will know, was killed some years later by an IRA bomb off the coast of Sligo. In the coming years, the Chinese decided to have a go at taking over through violence, but it didn't happen, despite some seriously vicious and brutal events such as the Hockley bus riots. David Marshall was the first elected leader in Singapore in 1955, but when Britain refused him full sovereignty, he resigned. In 1963, the formation of Malaysia took place, giving Singapore strong autonomy compared to other areas, which didn't really go down too well with the others, as you might have guessed. Someone else who wasn't pleased was Indonesia. They disagreed on the taking of Borneo and started a bombing campaign which led to many deaths. Singapore and Malaysia themselves disagreed on most things, and in the end, Malaysia voted to kick them out, which effectively made Singapore a free country, and it got its own independence on August 9, 1965. Over the coming decades, growth in technology, shipping and entrepreneurship helped grow the nation. Singapore helped found ASEAN, a group of Southeast Asian nations committed to trade and relations, sort of like the EU. We just haven't figured out who Britain is yet. The Singapore dollar became currency, and in the late 1970s, a friendship with China grew. Perhaps you might remember a few years ago Donald Trump meeting North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Singapore for the chats. Well, the reason behind this is because Singapore is still one of the few countries in the world who talks to both America and North Korea. A bit like the uncle in the family who speaks to two sisters who don't actually talk to each other. Modern day Singapore, despite having felt the effects of major urban change, still has 10% of land for forest and parks and greenery, including the Singapore Botanic Gardens, the country's first UNESCO site. Some famous names from Singapore include martial artist and actor Jet Li, a citizen despite being born in Beijing, Lee Kuan Yew, the founding father of the nation, and Ross Butler from 13 Reasons Why. On the sports side, swimmer Joseph Schooling, shot putter Zhang Yurong, and Feng Tianwei in the table tennis world are perhaps the most prolific athletes from the country. Soccer star Daniel Bennett was born in the UK but has represented Singapore professionally in the past, while Agu Casimir was born in Nigeria and has the same story. Singapore Lions GAA was founded in 1997 and is today considered one of the strongest clubs in the Asian county. That's not me saying that, it's just so many people who've told me over these stories. Their roll of honour is impressive, but the sense of community and spirit of the GAA is still very much alive. Their story of foundation and growth is great, but I'll let them tell you all about that. So let's meet the gang from Singapore Lions GAA and find out why they are one of the most feared teams in Asian GAA. This chat doesn't start well for them, by the way, as Derek has a few tech issues to begin with. How are you, Derek?
How you doing? I'm upside down by the looks of it.
That looks very interesting.
My daughter uses this PC for her homeschooling, and what has she done with it?
It's a great way to start. It looks very realistic. You're the other side of the world and you're upside down. So
That's right. Yeah, we're doing. I'm not the house, but hold a second. View. Let me have a look at this then. Let's see. No, that doesn't help.
I was chatting to Joe a few minutes ago, and we were chatting all about Asia and all that. He was telling me actually you have a link to Michéal Ó'Mhuircheartaigh as well. Cormac, his son, I think, is out there. Is that right?
Yeah, he is. He's been out here for quite a while. He's a doctor out here.
All right.
He's married to a Singaporean, so that's the link. Yeah, he's. In fact, Joe would have told you we've had Michéal out. After he retired from commentating, the only place you could hear him commentating on games was the Asian GAA finals. Right? The lads, whoever was hosting it, would build a stand for him, and he'll sit him up there. And if Cormac wasn't involved himself, he'd be sitting beside him writing the notes for him. So
that's brilliant.
People got a huge kick out of that, hearing him, and so he's the we haven't had him.
My favourite quote from Michéal was when he introduced Abu Dhabi over the loudspeaker, and he said, "Here comes Abu Dhabi."
Close enough. Good enough for them. Yeah. Abu Dhabi wouldn't be a stronghold in Kerry anyway, so.
Yeah, he wouldn't have worried about it.
Yeah. Two of we got down there, Paul and
Kim Tonkin.
Hello, Kim. How are you?
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, whereabouts are you from, Kim?
Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, great spot. Yeah, I was out there about 10 years ago. So I have family in Adelaide, so I went out to Australia. It's a nice spot. And Paul, whereabouts are you from?
It depends who you ask. No, seriously, I'm from a place called Stafford in the UK, so just north of Birmingham, south of Stoke.
Oh, very good. Yeah. You haven't got the strong Birmingham Midlands accent anyway, no?
No, not really, mate. No.
No, not really, no. Okay.
It depends on how many points he has on it.
Exactly, yeah. And Derek, whereabouts are you from originally?
I'm a dub.
What part?
Blackrock.
Oh, Blackrock. Oh, yeah. I teach in Chapel, is it? So I'm fairly sort of
all right.
Not far from the M50, so I kind of know the exits. That's about the height of it. So
yeah, I'm down towards Coola's my club. So
when was I out there last? Brought the school team out there actually to play. It was a couple of years ago now before COVID. So it's the only time I've ever been out in Coola. Lovely part out there, lovely pitch. Apart from the insane fog that seems to sit on the pitch on a nice cold morning, which is a bit mad. But it's a lovely spot out there. What brought you out to Singapore then?
Work. I was asked to go out on a 6-month project about 12 years ago. Still there.
It's a recurring theme. Yeah, I went out for one drink and I came home 10 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I think we've all the same story. I think, Paul, you've got the same thing. You came out for a short project or something and then kept going. You're on your second.
I'm in telecoms, so I came here to build an old GSM 2G network.
Wow. I think my house alarm has one of them.
Back in 2000, and apart from being in South Africa for a few years, about 4 years, I've been here the rest of that time. Okay,
and I suppose I should ask, I know why the dub got into the GAA, all right, but what encouraged you, Paul, to get into the GAA?
I guess same like most non-Irish that get into it, right? It's part of the community. There was an Aussie lad called Neil Stephenson who told me to come down to training because it was good fitness, good fun, good crack. So I did that back in about 2004. And the rest is history, right?
And how did you find picking up the skills? Who's your local soccer team and all that in England at the time?
I was a rugby boy.
Okay.
So I always found that it was, I got too small for rugby pretty quickly. So you didn't need the bulk of rugby and you didn't need the foot skill of soccer. You could get away with, being a little bit less skillful if you've got the fitness and you can just run around and just be that player who gets the ball and gives the ball, right?
Sounds good, yes.
Someone else, like it was, I would just give it back to Cormac Ó'Mhuircheartaigh and he would run off with it, right? He'd do the silky stuff.
And were you rugby league or rugby union back in England?
I was rugby union, yeah.
Okay, who was your team nearby?
Moseley. So I played Stafford.
Okay.
Stafford, Wolverhampton, that area.
Okay, sounds good, yeah. And Kim, what brought you into the GAA world?
I was living in Hong Kong, and someone said to me they needed a goalkeeper, and I was playing goals for soccer at the time, which I didn't really do that. I'm a netball player.
Okay.
So I came in, I could catch a ball, I could kick the ball out. I didn't have to be that fit. And about 4 weeks later was the AGG in Hong Kong. So I think we played against Singapore that year, and we beat them in the final.
Wow, nice. Yeah, that's a baptism of fire you got.
Yeah, and then the idea of being a goalkeeper and be able to catch the ball and run out with it and do whatever everyone else can do on the pitch was like, this is better than soccer, where I just had to stand there for 90 minutes and not do much. So, yeah.
What was your netball career like back in Brisbane then? She's laughing already.
Saturday mornings, mixed netball, so it was just a social thing.
Okay.
I played like reserve grade in Brisbane, and then in Hong Kong we played. Yeah, but it was mainly just social.
Okay. And the soccer side then?
I can't play soccer.
Okay.
So someone else had to do the goal kicks because I couldn't kick it around. I can kick it out of my hand.
Yeah, that's fine. That's halfway there. You're fine. You definitely get there. Yeah.
Catching the ball is a very good skill to have in Gaelic.
It is. Yeah, definitely. Yes, the netball would definitely help that. All right. I have to ask Derek. First question. I wasn't planning on asking you, but I have to ask because it's come up so much when I ask most other Asian teams who are the strong team that you come up against. Singapore has come up every single time. So what is it about Singapore that is making you such the Dublin or the Tyrone at the moment, I suppose, of the Asian GAA world?
Well, I think in the current in the last 8-9 years, we would have been certainly the strongest. When we got going, I think we won the Asian Games back in '98. And then didn't win it.
Is Paul Carpenter's holding up? So actually, I have to say, they're
that's
stunning
all
looking medals.
That's all Kimbo's medals.
Kimbo's medals.
They're class looking medals.
More medals. Kimbo has more medals than half the club put together. But funny enough, I mean, between 1998 and 2012, we didn't win the AGGs. We were strong teams at the time would have been Korea. And Hong Kong, and they would have been sort of our great rivals. Japan and Taiwan back in the early '90s when the games kicked off. But certain things changed in Singapore after the financial crisis in '08, and we saw an influx of people. There's always been people coming and going from Singapore, but there was a major influx that came in, and one of the things that drove it was Singapore was lacking in certain skills in the healthcare sector, particularly around physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. Okay. And they went and recruited a huge bunch of graduates from the colleges in the UK and in Ireland. And in around the 2011, 2012 era, these physio graduates came flying in. And of course, by its nature, being physios, a lot of them were very sporty, and we wound up with lads. Suddenly wound up with lads who had played county, senior county, senior club at home, and if you saw Kimbo's medals there. Cormac Ó'Mhuircheartaigh has a similar set of medals, but they're all losers' medals. We were the Mayo of Asia for quite a while. We lost so many finals.
Okay,
but. After 2012, we had lost the final in 2011 that we should have won, and then in 2012 we finally got over the hump, and we from then on we went on and were won quite a few, but the quality of player that came in for us, and also it grew the club, but it also helped explode the ladies' game.
Okay.
And in 2009, the ladies won their first ever Asian Gaelic Games, the senior competition, and they went on a 4-in-a-row streak. And it wasn't until Shanghai took him down in when was it, Paul? 2013?
My first coaching year.
Your first coaching year, yeah. The odd year. Paul wins them on the even years. He wasn't them on the odd.
On the even years, yeah. So I did the rest of Labour and helped us lose. Actually, we can maybe involve Brian Mullins in that one because he was celebrity banner store at the time. So, yeah.
Okay.
We did that, but also the numbers of the club exploded. And we would be by far probably the biggest club in Asia from a numbers perspective. We were able to put in 5 men's teams, 5 women's teams in the, these would be squads of 12 into the games, and we played them at senior, intermediate, and junior. And but like Kimbo said, most people were joining for the social aspect, for the networking aspect. The first thing many people, certainly the Irish, would do is when they landed here, they'll go GAA Singapore and Google, and next thing, come down to, we're training at Dempsey at the Singapore Cricket Club in Dempsey Hill. Come down on a Sunday afternoon and get involved, and getting involved meant playing a bit of football and then off to Muddy Murphy's, the biggest Irish pub in Singapore.
Yeah. How does it happen that if someone gets injured on the pitch, how many people run to treat the injury if they're all physios?
Well, we are well stacked with physios and of course Cormac as well. We've had to deal with we've gone the full extreme. We've had to deal with the putting people to the side because they're effectively too hungover to play. You got to remember, out here it's 30 odd degrees of heat, plus 90% humidity. It is no joke. I remember it when I was out there. Yeah, it's not that much fun. I can imagine though, when someone gets injured and it's like Disneyland for all the physios just running around. Who can treat this the best? It's just it sounds amazing. Yeah,
one-upmanship on treatment.
Exactly. Yeah, who did it best? Yeah, that's brilliant.
We used to bring physios, our own actual dedicated physios, to the Asian Games. We'd had so many people that we bring 1 or 2 physiotherapists who weren't playing to do that, to support the team, and by the second day you'd see the queue out of our tent, and it would have from every team of Asia queuing up to get treatment.
Just getting free physio of it all. Yeah, that's class. You're saying you train in the cricket club. Is it a easy place to find training grounds and places to play, or are you kind of like some clubs around the world who are struggling to find a space?
Yeah, it's tough at times. We've had a long-standing relationship with the Singapore Cricket Club, and so that's our sort of main base of operations. But it's a very densely populated country. You're looking at basically the population of Ireland squeezed into an area the size of Dublin.
Yeah,
and as a result, there's not too many pitches, but we've established a good relationship with them, and I've been training there. I don't know, longer than I've been here anyway. So
that's pretty good, yeah. And on the ladies' side, Kim, what's the numbers like for the ladies GAA team at the moment? Then
I think with COVID times we've been having 30 people down on a Saturday. I think that's pretty good for COVID times. Last time we went to the games, I think we had 5 or 6 teams. Yeah,
we have very good numbers here in Singapore from the ladies' perspective. Like Derek said, arriving in Singapore, the first thing people are told to do is contact the Singapore Gaelic Lions. It's what you do. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in clubs in other countries. I was involved in South Africa, right? I set up South Africa, and there it really wasn't the same. You had to fight for people to come down. That's why all the lads are the township boys. That's how we built that base, right? But here people come to you. But what happens is we get all sorts of girls arriving from those that have never played it before, from those that did play it and didn't necessarily enjoy it before, we've got a couple of girls here now that were playing in county teams a couple of years ago and even last season, right? So when we have coaching and Kimbo coaches alongside me, we have everything from someone who's never kicked a football before to people that have kicked points in championship finals. So it's kind of, you know, it becomes a very different approach, and they use it as a socializing process. Like, the amount of gossiping that goes on in a warm-up is ridiculous. The warm-up takes 30 minutes just because people need to catch up on what's been happening during the week, right? And that's more what it's about. And so myself and Kimbo, you know, neither of us are Irish. We have a sort of quite a different approach to doing training to keep people interested and to make sure it is as valuable socially as it is in terms of football.
Yeah, it's only just clicked with me, and this is totally off the point, that you're the Paul that Derek McCarthy and Leanda in South Africa were referring to. I didn't know that. It's lovely to finally meet you. I will quickly ask you about that. How did that all come about?
I played here, right? And when I went to South Africa, I wanted to keep playing. So we decided to set up a club. There was a lass called Hannah Raguz, and we just started training and decided to make a thing of it, because then we were taking the team, of course, up to Dubai, because I enjoyed going to Dubai. So the first team we took, actually, when I was working in Zimbabwe, we went and played in Dubai as Sing-babwe. We joined two teams together. And so, you know, we had a bit of crack there. Were you there? You were there. That one, yes. So,
I actually played in that team.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I played. I was one of the Sing.
That was the first time I'd met you. Like, who's this goalkeeper character?
Zimbabwe, that's amazing. So you combined the local South Africans with the Singapore team.
Yeah. And then it just, you know, Derek's told you the story. Derek McCarthy's told you the story, right? So you know the rest of the story, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize it was you. It's only when you said South Africa, I went, hang on, Derek and Leanda mentioned Paul who set up the club. I was like, this is clearly Paul. So that's amazing. I love that. Yeah. What about for Singapore then, on your sponsorship side of things? How do you guys fare out for the men's and the ladies teams?
Yeah, we do pretty well on that front. We've got a fantastic supporter in the local Irish pubs here. There's a group. There's three pubs in Singapore that are part of one group called the Gaelic Inns, and there's three pubs: Muddy Murphy's, which has been going since about '96,
right.
Penny Black, which has been going since about '98, and Scruffy Murphy's, which is a more recent addition. But you know, I don't know if you can see my screen, but that's our main sponsor. So they've been fantastic supporters over the years with that, and you know, it's kind of a home from home in terms of you know, all the club's activities have gone on there. You know, they'll be very, very helpful in trying to show GAA games, you know, the All-Ireland finals, the All-Ireland semi-finals, the provincial finals. You know, they would do that, and you know, it's actually, speaking of, currently today, it's run by a South African fellow called Bjorn Stiegels,
right?
And so there's always these connections, but yeah, we've had support from those, and we've also in the past managed to get support from some of the Irish businesses here, CRH, for, you know, in the past, and PM Group have supported us.
The Island Fund Singapore have been a great sponsor of the Singapore Gaelic Lions, especially for the youth coaching scheme that we have.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
They've helped us immensely, but that is a subject of a different podcast altogether. That's a topic in itself.
We can get upwards of 60 or 70 kids down every weekend training. Right now, it's a little more difficult because of restrictions that keep the numbers restricted. We'll get into later on that, but you know, and you know, a lot of the parents it's all driven by the parents, and an awful lot of the you know, the parents will get there. Some other Irish companies in there, like PM Group, PEX, the St. Patrick's Society here have also supported it. So we do pretty well, comparatively speaking, to other clubs in Asia from a sponsorship perspective. We have a big draw. There's a decent sized Irish community here in Singapore, somewhere in the region of about 4,000. And you know, we're able to we're able to draw on that, and so we're very fortunate in that respect to be able to get help. And another sponsor of ours who helps with all the logistics is DHL. Sean Wall, who's an Irish guy from originally parents from Tipperary town, and he's a great supporter, of that. And so we've always done very well. We've always had a bit of money in the bank. We're able to, subsidize the trips to tournaments. We're able to, run, fund the training, fund the grants, because it's not that cheap here. It's
I know.
Singapore is the most expensive country one of the most expensive countries in Asia. So it's not the cheapest in the world. So we need to sort of balance people's personal cost versus what we can do. So we've been very fortunate from the support from our sponsors.
Yeah, your jersey was very popular with when O'Neill's got in touch to do the little Jersey World Cup thing. Your one was like a lot of messages from people saying it was a very nice jersey, and the two beautiful assistants down the bottom.
Brag about the jersey design now.
I know. Paul and Kim have shown the whole world the jerseys and all the sponsors in the last few minutes as well down the bottom of the screen, which is lovely.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I know. I've seen some of the voting. I've sent it around to get people to do it. But there is a funny story. I don't know if you recall the TV series Smother.
No.
Yes.
It was a sort of thriller type thing based in Clare, but you go to RT Clare, it's there. But one of the actors, it came up in the middle of it. One of the actors was sat there, and he had an O'Neill's GAA bag with Singapore. The family had moved. The story was the family had moved home from Singapore, so the kid was there in a Singapore hoodie and a Singapore O'Neill's GAA bag. And I asked, I asked O'Neill's what happened. He said, we got a call one day from the producers and said, you have Singapore GAA. Can we get hoodies and bags and stuff? So we got onto one of the big. I think the TV program was 2 years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, so we've done that, and we do get some hits. People do like to get the jerseys. People like to collect the jerseys from different parts of Asia.
Yeah, it's a big thing here in Ireland. Yeah, people collecting jerseys and stuff. Because even in the last couple of weeks, putting them up on Instagram, like doing my own little kind of mini World Cup. A few teams contacted to say O'Neill's contacted them, wondering why there was such a little surge in their jerseys. Like even Ronan out in Bermuda, who they're only in the prototype phase, but even he was saying they got messages saying, there's a sudden like interest in Bermuda GAA. Like, are you doing something that we don't know about? And it came from the podcast. So it's nice to see them kind of selling, which is good.
Well, we get credits if they're sold off the website. We get credits.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like collecting my jerseys too.
In South Africa comes from those credits.
That's great. Yeah, that's brilliant. And what about off the pitch for a minute, Paul and Kim? What's a good night out like with the Singapore gang?
Well, you're talking to the expert here in
Kimbo,
who is famous for basically running a lot of the social activities that go on around the club and being extremely instrumental in all of that. And in fact, actually, most training sessions of late have been ending up in vodka jelly shots that Kimbo makes herself. It's part of the regime and forfeits, right? So it's so Kimbo does a massive amount for the club in terms of supporting the social side, but I'll let her speak for herself and some of the stuff that she runs in terms of the amazing race, because that's one quite important thing we do, right?
Yeah, I think from when I first started coming to SGL back in 2008, it was more social. So everything ended with a beer, and someone was always there to buy me my first beer. So I think when new people come, it's really important to just keep that going and pay that forward. So not everything, but football's important. But I think people getting a sense of belonging and feeling part of it and enjoying themselves after a hard training, because as Derek said, it is very hot and people sweat, and we put it in a training. You need to relax and enjoy it and get to know people. So there's always maybe a jelly shot or a bottle of champagne for a crossbar challenge or something a little bit exciting at the end of the training.
Hey, what about the Skittles vodka?
That's party bus stories. I'm not sure.
That's party bus. Yeah, you got to hear. Jason, you got to hear about the party bus.
Yeah, go on. Tell us about the party bus. So
Kimbo organises something called the Amazing Race. You know the Amazing Race from telly, right? So
yeah.
Kimbo does one for here around Singapore, and it started as part of a.
Well, Mel started it.
Yeah, but it started as part of a remembrance sort of thing we do for. Excuse me.
So one of our teammates, Lisa Orsi, who passed away in 2015. And so we'd done it a few years before that. And the year before she passed, she actually won with a team of guys. So we thought, what better way to remember her than dedicate it in her name. She was full of life, full of, all the fun things that we love about Gaelic football. So we just dedicate that to her every year, and it's a great turnout. Her mum and dad come out sometimes. They've done one now in Derry. They do a few there. And it's just a good way to get the club together, to have fun. People dress up. We run around Singapore, do stupid things in a team, supporting each other and just enjoying life. So that's a great way to get a day off training every now and then.
Yeah,
it sounds reminiscent of Coppers. I think Derek would agree.
It is. We've actually had, sadly, 3 of our members pass away over the last few years in terms of. 15 years, and we're very conscious of remembering them. Where the first guy passed away was an Australian guy called Bill Nicolopoulos, and every year we remember him by playing a series of compromise rules against the AFL team here, the Wombats. And we have a fantastic relationship with the Wombats that dates back to Bill's day and Neil Stephenson, as Paul mentioned earlier there. So a lot of our lads will go play AFL, or their lads will come play GAA, and we'll play them every year. And some years, some of those games were cutthroats. It was sometimes we went to war, but in the end, we'd always do justice by Bill. And then in Alan Power passed away in 2008. Actually on the pitch playing, and that was what transpired out of that was we went and bought defibrillators. Club has, we were leading the way in terms of making sure that clubs had defibrillators on there. So and every year we have an Alan Power Day, which is basically a family fun day where the kids come down, the ladies and the men's teams come down, and even the soccer teams that we played with as well take part, and we just had fun games all the day. So a guy here, Gareth O'Brien, has been organising that since 2009 and continues to do so. So these past those members of form an integral part of the club and what we do. We want to honour their memory, and we continue to do so. And people get a lot of kick out. They may not have known Bill or Alan or Lisa, but they get to know them through the games, and all those events are just huge crack. Absolutely huge crack. Kimbo puts a huge amount of effort into the Amazing Race. It's a lot of organising. Gareth into the the Alan Power games, and then the club captains get involved with the Bill Nicolopoulos Cup. So it's very important to us, the social aspect, and something that Paul reminded me of is we have a very strong alumni group. People who have been to Singapore and have gone home, and we have this motto: once a lion, always a lion. and people still stay in touch with the club. And in fact, even in recent years, we've had people traveling out from Ireland and from other parts of the world to play with Singapore in the Asian Games. Kimbo has organised the ladies vets team, and the
Gareth. There some statistics on the ladies vets team. How many kids? How many AGGs? How many?
I think our first vets team was 4 years ago, rather four AGGs ago, and out of the 12 of us, I think the average age was about 38, and amongst the team there were 14 kids.
Wow.
Children that they'd had. And then the
AGG count was maybe in the hundreds, was it?
I think there was something like 150 AGGs amongst us all, and our total age was getting up to about 600 now.
That part's not important. You don't need to talk about that part. It's fine. So.
No. Likewise with the men's vets team, we kicked that off in 2017, I think, in Bangkok. And fellas are coming back out from Ireland, to play in that. And the main thing is, if you want to be on the vets team, you don't train.
That sounds like a good way to get in the team.
For the ladies, it's all about the drinks. We have our own esky or chili bin, whatever you call it in Ireland, and full of champagne. And as soon as we've finished, it's opened. Yeah, unfortunately, twice we've won a trophy.
They couldn't drink. They had to keep waiting before they could open with the cool box. Right?
That's
we're a bunch of
backfired.
We're a bunch of women who.
And it didn't end there. We went on to the party bus.
No, well,
we'll come to that.
Just back to the vets. We're a bunch of people who, at one point in our time, have played quite good football. So the memory muscle's still there. It might not be as old as young as some of the young ones. I remember we played or as quick. We played our B team because we were in the wrong pool, but anyway. And so we're playing the B team, and they're like, oh my God, you're not even moving, and you're beating us.
It's amazing, yeah.
Around you. It's just like smart football.
It sounds like the best. Sounds like the best crack. You haven't quite got to the drinking team with a GA problem status just yet, but you've definitely got the social side worked out.
Close to that already. When you're flying halfway around the world for the drinks, and you've got to take your boots with you, I think you can put yourself in that category.
Okay.
Usually it's 2 days of competition, and people wait because they've trained so hard all year. So it doesn't matter if you're in the A team or the D team, everyone's trained just as hard, except for the vets who don't train. So come last game on Saturday, we're having a drink, and all the young ones are like, we want to be on the vets team.
You've got to earn your place in that team, though, haven't you? It takes years of dedication to get on that team. Dedication to sport and drinking to get on that team. So,
Just a quick word, Jake. So if we look at what happens in the football, every year, and people, you talk to the rest of Asia, they won't believe this, right? But every year, 50% of the girls that go to an AGG are going to their first ever AGG. Oh, that's how transient this sort of community is. And it really is interesting to see. And I suppose from my perspective, and I'm sure from Kim's perspective, the greatest kick I get out of the coaching here on the adult side is taking those girls who've never played the sport before or played a bit of it and not enjoyed it, and getting them to the stage where they're playing in an AGG and they actually do a solo in competition.
Yeah.
And the look on their face when they turn around and look at the coaching line and go, I did it. Or they take a tackle or they score a goal. I remember, who was it? Sarah. Which Sarah was it? One of the Sarah Deneen, that's right. She fluked a goal from about 30 yards out, right? Because it was meant for a pass, I think, into the circle or whatever. And it went in the goal, and she just kind of turned around completely stunned and looked at everybody and scored a goal. But the amazing thing, the thing that happens with those girls, that once they break that confidence barrier. And they realize they can play, and I can reel off name after name after name after name after 8 years of coaching this, right, with the girls. The number of people who have built their confidence off being able to solo in a competitive game of Gaelic is just incredible.
Yeah.
And I think, everyone, Singapore is the team that people love to hate, but at the end of the day, we have an amazing group of people driven by the girls that are inside it. And I do very little in a way, right? I just, the philosophy is fun, then fitness, and football is last. And if you get that right, then the rest sort of takes care of itself. And I think that sort of embodies itself when we go to an AGG and we participate. And to be honest, actually, when you look outside of the A's, we haven't won that much. We really haven't won that much in all the other competitions. We rarely win in the other competitions, but we do have a good time, and we do have the party bus.
Which is vital. That's fine. That's okay. That's part of, what you have to be. So it's good that you're mentioning, Paul was mentioning, Derek, about listing off name after name after name. And you mentioned before that you've had county players and recognizable names come out of Singapore. Is there any that people who are listening might recognize, or is there too many to name?
There would be a few. I think probably the most recognizable one of all actually wasn't a footballer, it was a hurler.
Right.
It would have been Gary Hannify, who won an All-Ireland with Offaly in 1998.
Famous Hannifys, yeah.
Yeah, of the Hannifys, Gary Hannify of the Hannifys and Burr. But he came out to Singapore in 2012 and had never played Gaelic football. Played hurling, of course, but never played. But he being a fairly big lad and a great athlete, he got himself onto the bees. But the funny story is he got knocked out twice in consecutive AGGs. One by the club captain. He was playing on the B team, and in 2012, in the senior competition, the B team played the A team in the final. It was probably the pinnacle of the quality of player that the club had, and we played them. We played them on the Bs, and he collided with basically the club captain, who was basically the smallest man in the club, and Gary would have been the biggest. And came out as unfortunately a poor sad second best. And
just a word on Gary about his footballing ability. You have to actually say that his wife Caroline, who we all know as Greener, is actually a better footballer. Just thought I'd put that out there.
Have to mention
she
that.
was my captain one year on the B team, and she brought home a wonderful win for the Bees.
Okay,
but we won. But put it this way, we won a lot of hurling.
I would agree with this as well.
Yeah, we won a lot of hurling medals with them. You put in the edge of the square and just rain balls and down on top of them. So we had him. We've had Oisin Moyna, who played under 21 in senior Cavan.
Yeah.
Adrian Murta, who would have played with Roscommon.
Yeah.
Lowe would have played with Roscommon. Jason O'Neill would have been on the fringes with Armagh.
Any Westmeath people out there?
Yes.
Is there
a certain Paul Dillon? Paul Dillon from Gary Castle.
Oh, right. Okay. That club.
That club. But there was a bit of controversy when they played Cross McGlen. You can ask Paul all about that.
I was at that. Yeah. My cousin is married. My cousin is married to John O'Shaughnessy, who'd be David O'Shaughnessy's brother, the old Westmeath captain from 04, and they're all Gary Castle. So, I remember driving up to Breffni Park, I think, for the replay of that game as well, in Cavan. So, Paul Dillon. Okay, I'll have to send a text out about that one. So.
And we had some people from further back. Ken Savage, who played with Kerry you played with Kerry in the early 90s, and
Mr. Galligan.
There's James Galligan, who
must be Cavan, is he?
He's the brother and the cousin of the other two lads.
Right.
So he was on the Cavan team, but he works for First Derivatives,
Okay.
the Newry-based organisation that, and they've been a brilliant support. They have a big office here in Singapore. So he moved out with them just before Cavan went on that Ulster Championship run, and the two boys got the All Stars.
Yeah.
And, it was
So,
really unfortunate for him because he
right,
was
yeah.
he was on the panel.
I had to do fitness with him during the lockdown when it was just two. Safe to say, it was the fastest kilometre I had ever run in my life, trying to keep up with the bugger.
And of course, Cormac Ó'Mhuircheartaigh, who not people will know this, but he has actually played minor and under 21 for Dublin. Something I keep reminding him about.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did.
Cormac, we have to say a few words about Cormac because Cormac's been a legend in this club, right? He's been here amongst the longest. He's been in almost every AGG. His body defies sort of nature in the fact that he was able to look after himself and play for so long. I had the pleasure of playing alongside him in 2005, 6 and 7. Wonderful, wonderful player and wonderful clubman.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been around when we've needed him the most many times. He's usually settling down. He's usually settling down to his dinner at the Asia GAA games, and next thing he's getting a tap on the shoulder from me.
Looking after somebody. Him and his wife Mabel should be on one of those programs that they just seem to attract issues. They're always in the right place at the right time to save somebody's life. They just have this knack.
Okay, so he's living up to his reputation then as a good doctor. So by the sounds of it,
a very good doctor.
Yeah. He's I was saying to Joe as well from Soul GAA, was like, as me who's written kids' history books for schools, like Michéal is like, if there's one human being on earth that I would love to sit down with and just talk to for like 20 minutes, half an hour, he is the one. So if Cormac has any interest in helping me out in that way, I would give my left arm to do that. So
we'll pass on the request.
I'll drive to the back arse of Kerry if I have to. I don't really mind. It doesn't bother. I've driven it that many times anyway. I'd find his house probably fairly quick. So there's a couple of quick fire questions that I ask every club, and then there's a few Singapore themed questions as well, which are very important. You will be graded on them, and you'll get a test result at the end. Obviously, that's how this works. Very important. Yeah, you could tell. Yeah. Who then? I put this out to the men's side or the ladies' side. Is there a Irish or stereotypical tough nut at the club who's likely to be sent off for a trophy of slaps? There's one at every club in the world. So, who's the Singapore one?
We all know the answer to that.
Okay.
Are you talking about past or present?
Whatever you want, it doesn't matter.
There's a man who has the record for most sendings off, and that would be Michéal Smith.
Oh,
from
of course.
In County Armagh.
Okay.
Record. He has the in the current players. We wouldn't have lads who get sent off. We've from the lad side, I'd pass the award to my fellow dub Stevie Swords. He's a tough nut.
Okay, great name to have been from Dublin as well, Stephen Swords. That's a great name. Yeah, I have a friend called Michael Finglas as well, who's from Finglas, which is even better. So, Stevie's a club man of Brian Fenton and Brian Howard. So he's known as Stevie Rahimi from Swords. Great name, I love it. Yes, Paul and Kim. Is there anyone else you want to add to the list?
Oh, from the ladies.
I tell you what, right? When it comes to the ladies, it's not the 18 players that you need to watch out for. It's like the D team players that find their inner aggression that you need to watch out for. Then the nails and the hair comes out and the flailing hands like this, right? That just kind of never stop. Like I'm thinking of Mina Manny Hughes. Like she's from Mauritius, married an Irish guy.
Right.
And she just, the inner anger of looking after 3 kids seems to come out on the pitch when she's there, right?
Fiona
Logan as well,
terrier.
Right? Absolute terrier. She's 5'0.5", and
wife of the current chairman.
Okay.
And absolute terrier. Yeah. So it's those are the girls you need to watch out for who are probably the scariest.
Okay, I have to
Sneaky
keep
ones.
track. Yeah, the sneaky ones. It's always the way, isn't it? Does the club have a? Now, this is going definitely for Kim, I think, with the party bus. Does the club have a karaoke song of choice?
Well, see, every year the teams have picked their own songs, and
Okay.
we compile it into a list. So for
Nice.
the Sunday night after a game, we get it on the party on the stereo, and every team's represented. So throughout the years, there's been many.
Have you a personal favorite?
I think 2009, tonight's going to be a good night.
Oh, yeah.
that's class.
Yeah.
Then moves like Jagger, there was a while there. But I do remember when I was playing for, I think, Hong Kong, so back 2004, 5, 6, Singapore had the Burning Ring of Fire.
Oh,
Da,
that's
da, da,
right.
da, Singapore.
Nice.
That's right.
Were you
Yeah.
not with Singapore? It
Yep.
really was not good.
Okay,
It's
That was
stuck
fair
great.
enough.
sticks in your head.
They're good. They're good tunes. So, has the club got a playlist then on Spotify? Is it?
Great question. There you've just
Don't,
given
you
Kimbo
should.
an idea. There's
That
going
should
to
be
be
the-
one. in the
That's got to be the
next
next
4
thing.
months.
I'm gonna have to get all the clubs around the world to set up their own Spotify playlists, and we'll have to share them among the different clubs or something. Create like a global playlist or
Back when
something.
back when I was a bit younger and a bit more hip with the music, I just used to put a CD on, and then wherever we were in Asia,
That's how old the vets are. CDs.
Hey! I'm still CDs.
in between games, go find the bus in, like, we're talking Vietnam or, dodgy buses.
Yep.
Does your CD player work? Does it
Yeah.
work? Does it work? Find the best bus and then hold that one for the team to get on, and then the music's good.
So I'll give you a bit of context for a Kimbo party bus, right?
Okay.
So the last AGGs we had, 2019, was in Malaysia, and we had Jack McCaffrey and, was his name John?
Paul Mannion.
Paul Mannion out, yeah. And we managed to sneak them onto the party bus. So after sort of paying the surcharge for having extra people on the bus, and we managed to get a few extra on, standing room only, which was always good fun, the party bus kind of kicked off, right? And so I saw Paul Mannion sort of being crowd surfed down the bus, right? And then when he walked past me, he sort of shouted in my ear, "I've won 6 All Islands and I've had great bus rides back, but I've never been on a bus like this."
That is brilliant. I heard all about them from Seoul actually as well. Funnily enough, that's twice their names have come up.
Yeah, well, there's another reason. The two boys were on the party bus, and then Jack McCaffrey retired. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell went on, because the lads, as a rule, I'm talking about the lads as a rule will not go near that bus.
Yeah,
no, that's the girls' domain. They will generally keep away from us. And Jack and Paul, we had them out last year. Every year at the Asian Games, we have celebrity or we have well-known players come out. We've had Paul and Jack, Sinead Burke from Galway. We've had
my old workmate.
Yeah,
Thin Bin Burke.
She was out with the boys. We've had we've had Aidan O'Shea. We've had Colin Boyle. We've had Bernard Brogan has been out a number of times. We've had Brian Mullins, and Brian actually came out, and Paul knows as well. Brian came out one year, and he was so impressed with the thing that he went back, because he's the head of sport at UCD. He went back to UCD, formed a ladies Gaelic football team made up exclusively of non-Irish.
Wow!
So be it Polish, African, all European, and they came out and played in the next Asian Games.
Wow!
And that was a massive thing for us. And Brian's been brilliant support. We've had the Bomber Liston out. We've had Nikki English out. We've had loads of people come out. Pat Phelan came out for the World Games. It's incredible. And obviously we've had the presidents of the GAA have all been out here. Yeah. John Horan was out last time. Prior to that, we've had Christy Cooney, Nicky Brennan, Liam O'Neill, Sean Kelly. All of these guys have all come out here. They've just been knocked off their stocks by what the Asia GAA games are like, and we're really looking forward to get the restrictions out of the way and get going again. Hopefully, this time next year we will restart.
That's brilliant. Yes. Some amount of names to go by. All right. Paul and Kim, have you guys been introduced to Des Cahill and Marty Morrissey?
We have
the Marty Party.
Yeah, the
Marty Party. Yes.
The Marty,
Yeah,
you were on the Marty
Marty.
Party in the World Games. Yes.
Des hasn't been out here.
Okay.
But I'll reach out to Des. He's from down the road from me, so I'll see if we'll get him out here. We've had Michael Lester has been out. A lot of them come out. These days, Brendan Hennessy from
Kilkenny Carlow.
Yeah, he comes out and does the commentary now for us.
Well, if Des is going out, tell him to swing by Mullingar there. Tell him to swing by Chapel Lizard and pick me up at the school, and I'll head out with him if he's interested. So, the toughest team you guys have ever come up against, considering that most of the Asian teams seem to name you as the toughest team, who is the toughest team you guys have come up against, then the men's or the ladies' side?
I think from our side, it totally depends on the year, right? And we've had some amazingly tough games against Hong Kong, against Shanghai, against South Korea. A lot of respect for all of those teams. I've coached some of the girls in Korea and in Hong Kong in the World Games, and so there's huge respect between all the teams. So they're all tough. I mean, what would be your toughest game, would you say? But maybe we came through, or the toughest game that we then didn't get through?
I think the toughest game ever was the 2013 final when
the first one I lost.
The first one that PC was our coach for.
And Brian Mullins was the coach with us at the time.
We had Brian Mullins on the sideline, and fair play to him. He just thought he came for a little bit of a junket and was there for every single game. By the end of 2 days, he knew not just our names, but how we played, our strengths, our weaknesses. He stood on the side. But Shanghai left us pointless. We did not score a point in the whole final, which for some of our players that we had on the team was just unheard of, because we had a very high scoring team, but they were brilliant. Their defence was out of this world. Wow. So I think that was the toughest game ever I've played.
There you go. You heard it from the best. You heard it from the legends.
That's a scoreless final.
On the men's side, it would have been Hong Kong or Seoul. Those two would have. We'd have had some battles with Hong Kong over the years. Some more controversial than others, but Hong Kong, we had some great battles, and they actually usually won out. Against Seoul, we had some fantastic battles in recent time. We had the hex over them, and then they had it over us.
Okay.
There would have been, but it changes. But we've had some great battles with all of us.
Sounds good, yes. Derek, if I stay with you, are you a hats, flags, scarves, or headband man? Hat. Okay. Paul, are you hats, flags, scarves, or headband? The famous GAA choice.
I have never heard this question before.
I mean,
we're amateurs at this.
When you're outside Croke Park on All Ireland semi-final or final day, it is tradition to run into at least 3 or 4 men or women nowadays. I've met the woman at the same time every year nearly, but they always sell hats, flags, scarves, or headbands belonging in the county colours of whoever's playing, and they're usually 2 for a fiver, 3 for a fiver, and then you have to buy one of them. It's kind of a given. So which one would you pick?
I'd be a scarf man.
Scarf man. Okay. Yeah. And Kim, what would you?
I'd be a headband.
Headband. Okay, good. Yep, I like that. Would Singapore men's team, Derek or Paul, would you be a short passing team or a drive it long team?
A what?
We'd be a running team.
A running team, okay, as opposed to short passes or long passes. We
would have had the nature of the game here is because it's 9-a-side and it's played on a shorter pitch. It tends to lend itself in the recent years. It's got a lot of short passing, but we like to think we don't engage in that type of football. I won't quote Spillane.
Okay.
Yeah, but so I'll say it to my friend Joe, and he'll agree. But Seoul are great proponents of the passing game running around. We would engage a little bit of both. And what I'd like to say is we're more of a running team in terms of we would try to move the ball much quicker.
Okay, running team. I like that. You're not a Jim Gavin hold the ball up for 68 minutes team now.
It depends.
No,
Yeah,
that's
they would hold up the ball outside your 45, not back in your outside your 29.
Yeah, fair enough.
Finds all of it for that.
Yeah.
I think.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, look. As I said, it's fun, then it's fitness, then it's football, right?
Mm.
So the tactics of the football comes right at the end in anything we do. So for us, it's more about support your teammate. So at the end of the day, it becomes, hand pass, 1-2s. That's what we play. But to be quite frank, do we really care?
No, but in the vets, it's all about kick it to me, kick it to the bread basket. I'm going to turn, score. The long kicks in the vets.
Yeah, route one. I love it. Yeah, perfect. Have you introduced Derek? I suppose it's kind of your job, I suppose, have you introduced Father Ted to the Singapore GAA world?
Father Ted, yeah. Well, it was my job to introduce Father Ted.
Oh, it's your job as the Irishman. You have to do it. Yeah, have you done it?
In 2010, we went dressed as Father Ted to the Sunday night after
Father
party.
Ted.
And we were, the girls were, what's the woman? Mrs Doyle?
Mrs Doyle,
Mrs. Doyle, yeah.
We had aprons and the men had shirts that said, I don't know, Father Ted sayings. So
Father Ted
one of our ex-players was immortalised on Father Ted. Sinead Dundon was in one of the episodes, I believe.
Right. As God, I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Was she a nun on a bus or something like that? She was.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Sinead Dundon, is that her name?
Yeah. She's from Limerick.
I have to check that one out. That's at first anyway. Yeah. Sorry, Derek, you were saying they're going.
Yeah, we were. We have a lot of Father Ted experts in the club. I tell you, I'd refer to our resident, our ma'am and P.T. O'Brien, who is all things Father Ted.
Okay.
If you have a Father Ted question, you ask P.T.
Okay, it's normally over here. It's normally me. That's like I could write a thesis on it at this stage. So yeah, that's a good one. I'll have to check that Sinead Dundon lady out as well. And then
you usually go to him. Which one was the priest? And in fact, actually, between us, we tried to get. We figured out that Jack McCaffrey bore a resemblance to one of the priests. I'm trying to remember. It shows my knowledge of Father Ted.
Wow, I'm trying to get Jack.
I'm trying to remember.
You claim that you caused Jack McCaffrey's retirement with the bus. I claim that I won him the Player of the Year because the year he was Player of the Year, one of his first school visits was to my school. And I looked after him, and he brought in and gave the 6th class their graduation stuff. And then a few months later, he was Player of the Year. So I texted him and said, "Oh well, congratulations. We feel like in Chapel Is it that we earned you that award with your visit." So now I found out why he retired, just because of the party bus with Kim. So yeah, okay,
exactly.
And then the last question. Then there's a couple of quick fire Singapore ones. But Derek, your favorite or best GA player of all time?
In Singapore?
No, and just in general.
Oh, in general?
Yeah.
Oh, my favourite of all time?
Yeah.
Quite simply, Dear McConaughey.
Okay. Yep. Good answer. So, Paul or Kim, do either of you have a favourite GA player ever?
Brian Mullins.
Yep, I thought you might say that.
Great choice.
Yeah, great.
Or Gary Hannify.
Or Gary Hannify, of course. Yeah, Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion. You've got a long list of footballers that you can choose from. To be fair,
I think Brian Mullins for me also is a brilliant call. He helped us a lot in South Africa, as you probably know.
Yeah,
everything he did for us there. Look, Brian Mullins and Cormac Ó'Mhuircheartaigh, two of my favourite players.
Okay, good. I'll take those.
On Brian Mullins, I'm showing my age here. I was in Crow Park watching him play.
Right. Why? Dare I ask what year was that?
76.
Okay, I was going to say 78.
7 years
Yeah,
of age.
around then, yeah,
sitting
76.
in my dad's knee.
Oh gosh,
But I
okay.
was there in 76, 77, and I was there in 83 at the All Ireland final of the 12 Apostles.
Wow. I don't think I've met anyone who's at the 12 Apostles. Well, anyway, not many Mullingar people I'd say were at it anyway, but yeah, I've never met anyone. That's pretty cool. The Singapore ones, Derek, you can choose between the Marina Bay Sands or the Shelbourne Hotel. Which one are you going to?
I'm going to the Horseshoe Bar in the Shelbourne.
I thought you might
I'm
say
joining
that.
him because I want a nice Guinness. Money's is great Guinness, but you still can't beat it in Ireland. So
Yeah, so you're all going to the Shelbourne then. Okay.
But the view from Marina Bay Sands is hard to beat.
Yeah, that's true. It's
True.
very true.
I am afraid of heights, I'm afraid, so I didn't go up it.
59 floors.
Yeah, I'm okay. Three floors in the school in Chapel is enough for me, to be honest. I don't feel like going too much higher than that. So Paul or Kim, the famous what have we got? The Singapore chili crab or a good Irish salmon dinner? Or an Aussie barbecue?
Chili crabs with the buns.
see, I'm more of a black pepper crab man.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So there's chili crab and there's black pepper crab.
Okay,
And for me, it's all about the black pepper crab.
okay.
So yeah, that
Kim
would be me.
mentions,
But it's all about the
yeah,
buns.
Kim mentions the key thing about chili crab. It's not the crab; it's the sauce and the buns.
Oh, really?
That's-
Okay,
that is it's the sauce and the buns. That's
okay.
what the,
Crab is an administrative nightmare.
But
Okay,
I would
so-
take a Muddy's bacon buddy sandwich over chili crab.
Okay, right. So I've got to get my crab lingo in order by the sounds of it. So, Derek, I'll ask this one to you. Someone I didn't realize who was born in Singapore is the great documentary man Louis Theroux. So you could choose between Louis Theroux or Hector.
well, Timmy Hector's a friend of mine. Hector.
Hector, is he? Okay, good stuff. I'll take Hector then. And the last one, I suppose this will be three separate questions, but Kim, Singapore or Brisbane?
Singapore.
Singapore. Paul, Stafford or Singapore?
Oh, Singapore by a mile.
Singapore. Derek, Blackrock or Singapore?
Let's go. Singapore.
That's 3 for 3 for Singapore. Wow. Okay. The last thing then, just since we've kind of mentioned it already, but there seems to be a mass desire for GAA jerseys these days through the podcast and through O'Neill's and everything else. So everyone, I presume, who wants goes to the O'Neill store. Derek, am I right?
Yeah, they're available in different colors. We usually change the design, well, up until 2019, we change the design every year. So there's enough one to beat the band. What I'm wearing today is the actual goalkeeper's version of the red and white one.
I'm a former goalie. I want the goalie one, basically. Yeah. So
Yeah, the
I'm
goalie-
looking at that. Yeah.
The goalie one is great. So we usually get the captains to design the jerseys every year. But then, one of my roles in the club is tour manager, stroke kit manager. So I get to order. So when they ask me what color do you put in the girls in O'Neill's now don't even bother asking. They just use the double colors.
Brilliant. Yep. As expected. Yep. Okay. So everyone's going to O'Neill's to find the jersey. So, and then is there anyone, Kim, you want to give a shout out to in Brisbane or elsewhere around the world before I let you go?
We haven't got all day, so all the Singapore Lionesses are spread all around the world, from Melbourne to
Canada.
Ireland, Mullingar.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a reunion in Mullingar not long ago, so
Really?
there you go. Yes, about 6 lionesses in Mullingar.
Here in
Friends forever. Once a lion, always a lion.
in actual Mullingar, like where I live here, or is there another Mullingar around the world somewhere?
No, where you live, there's a bridge with some famous man statue.
Yeah, Joe Dolan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, we were there.
Okay. When did this happen?
2016.
Wow. Okay. I did.
We talked
not,
a lot of past times, a lot of memories of Gaelic, and I think we even got the ball out and kicked it around the backyard.
If you have any photos of that, I'd love to see a photo of that. That'd be at the statue. That'd be amazing. It's
Oh,
a
no, we just
reference.
drove past in the car.
Okay, that's a pity. Yeah, that's Joe Doyle statue is kind of a reference point for picking people up who get lost in Mullingar. Where are you? Just stand beside the man in the middle of the town square. You'll be fine. We'll pick you up there in a while. So
Yep.
that's brilliant. Okay, so Mullingar reunion. Anyone, Paul, you want to give a shout out to back in England or elsewhere?
Oh, everybody that has helped us along the way, everyone that has helped me captain teams and manage teams and organize these mad women into successful teams over the years. You know, it's like I say, it's not about the football. It's about the teams, and it's about being a team, right? And enjoying it. So to everybody that's ever helped me.
Brilliant. Sounds good. And Derek, leave the last word to you. So anyone back in Blackrock or elsewhere?
Sure. Well, my family, most of my family are still there, and I, look forward to seeing them for the first time nearly in 2 years at Christmas. I think we're going to be able to get out of here.
Yeah.
And see them there. So big shout out to them. My nieces and nephew playing football in Kilmacud, Crokes, and in Ballantyre St. John's. And like the guys, a big shout out to all the Singapore Gaelic Lions alumni all over the world, from Auckland to New York to back in all over Europe. Massive shout out, as they say, once a lion, always a lion.
Yeah. Brilliant. I kind of feel like I should be telling clubs who are coming home at Christmas just to bring a bag of GAA jerseys and sell them at a stall somewhere in their hometown, because I think at this stage there's a bit of a market for them over here. So, but yeah, once a lion, always a lion. I like that. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on and for giving up some of your, what I assume is evening time there now. It's only afternoon here, but it's been amazing to talk to the three of you, and the best of luck going forward after COVID and everything. And hopefully I'll get back out to Singapore at some stage, and if not, you're always welcome in Mullingar. We can have another reunion at the Joe Doyle statue, Kim. We can bring a few more people along this time if you want. And Derek, thanks for organising everything as well. Really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Jason, and definitely next AGGs we'll figure a way to get you out there.
You give me the dates and get me a microphone. I'll be there. Thanks, guys. See you later. Good luck. Bye.
We never mentioned.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice. I go to five-a-side and I'm 34. Yeah, I was going to say, I go to five-a-side at 34 and I feel like the outlet on the team. But what qualifies, Pat? What's your criteria? So
we do it fair as everything here. We start off from the oldest, we pick the oldest and the youngest, and we meet somewhere in the middle. There are some controversial decisions where sometimes we may not consider one of the players a member of the club, so he automatically goes on to the Legends team. We have sometimes brought in players that just happen to be there for the weekend, and
this isn't another Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion story like Singapore had, is it?
Similar, very, very similar. Pat will fly everyone in private jet for that weekend conveniently. They'll all be on their holidays.
Next Monday, we cut into our next slice, and on number 51, it's the Peninsula rivals at Orang Era, Malaysia, who greet us. I chat to Nafina Man Kean, Belmullet's finest Pat, and Toronto native Jen, who's married to Pat, to find out about life in KL. We chat the club name, working with Guinness, rivalries with Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Johor Bahru and others, teachers flying to Tokyo from school for a weekend, the 10th anniversary in Clifton GAA, the 12 pubs recruitment, Pat's incentive for training the ladies team, the Parish Cup, playing Sligo Rovers, Ultimate Frisbee, playing on the street at 1am, what you just heard there, the Youth versus Legends debate, and two amazing stories involving the unknown Nigeria GAA and tourism in Ballymore, County Westmeath. You won't want to miss this one. That's next Monday morning from 9am as I continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the Arrivals Hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com, or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slán.